I've had clients ask me before, I feel like I really had it easy. My spouse didn't really have a physical affair. It was all emotional. So I feel like maybe I'm just making a big deal about nothing. And I mean, they're in my Facebook group, so they go, gosh, I read all of these stories in Facebook about, these sexual affairs and think, well, good gracious, am I just making a big deal about nothing here? Maybe I'm overreacting or something, or maybe their spouse is telling them they're overreacting and it's not really an affair, that kind of thing. I want to clarify what an emotional affair is and how it very much harms us and our marriage, just like a physical affair can. So stay tuned. All right, so an emotional affair, what is it? How to recognize it? How do we know it was an emotional affair and not just a friendship? Things like that. An emotional affair is a term that relates to when a boundary has been crossed, a line, in other words. A line has been crossed over from platonic to intimate. And I'm not talking physical intimacy, I'm talking emotional intimacy. And here are some examples. How to know when someone's having an emotional affair. So if a person is talking to someone, if they're heterosexual, to someone of the opposite gender, and it might start out just, talking about work, talking about hobbies, talking about whatever. And over time, the conversations begin to shift, and the person having these conversations begins to really, they can't wait to talk to this person. And if they're having trouble at work or whatever, they start talking to this person and not talking to their spouse. A lot of times these kinds of conversations lead to things, these two people start saying things to each other like, you're the only one who really gets me. You really listen. You're the only one that really listens. My wife never listens to me, or my husband never listens to me. It's been so long since I've been able to trust someone and talk to them. Thank you so much. So it starts to become this relationship built upon need and built upon desire to be intimate with them emotionally. They start to be the person that, the person having the affair, that other person becomes their go-to. When they're struggling, they go to that person. Especially if they start talking about their marriage. If they start going to this person and talking to them about what they're going through in their own marriage, that they've crossed a line. That is a very, very personal and intimate thing to talk to someone about. So many times, this can happen almost without intent, meaning that the relationship can start out being benign. You work together, you got to figure out something to talk about. Maybe, you have to go to work sites together, and so you're in the car together for 30 minutes at a stretch, and you're just chit-chatting, and it might just start out legitimately, they're just a coworker. But once these conversations start happening, the relationship turns into something else. It's not just a casual coworker relationship. If you have experienced an emotional affair, your spouse has had this inappropriate emotional relationship with somebody. I mean, this could be a completely online relationship. This could be somebody at work. This could be a neighbor. This could be a relative of yours. This could be the wife of his best friend or the husband of her best friend, whatever. This can become something very deep and very hard for them to get themselves out of. Because once your emotions are tied up and it becomes intimate, they're in some deep limerence, and it's going to be hard for them to pull out, potentially. Feeling as a betrayed person as though because there was no physical aspect that somehow this is not a big deal, and maybe you're making too big of a deal out of it, or again, maybe your spouse is telling you you're making too big of a deal out of it. No, you're not making a big deal out of this. You are acting appropriately. This is hurtful. This is betrayal. It doesn't matter if it was physical. It doesn't matter if they never, kissed or anything like that. The fact that our spouse chose to be emotionally intimate with another person, chose to talk to them about what is hurting them deep down in their hearts and what they're struggling with day to day, leaving us in the dark. Oftentimes when there is an emotional affair going on, those of us who've been betrayed, we feel the distance. You know what I mean? Have you felt that? We feel the distance. We recognize that, oh my gosh, something's not right. They're not talking to me. It's because this other person is sucking up all their emotional energy. Try not to compare affairs. Oh, that one was worse than mine. What you're experiencing is what you're experiencing. Don't diminish it. Don't put it in a box and think it's not worthy of your time and your energy to heal from. Don't think that, you're making too big a deal out of it, or you're overreacting or whatever. You just need to move on. If this has happened, some things need to happen in your marriage if you want to continue being married to this person. This person needs to acknowledge that what they did was not okay. They need to begin setting appropriate boundaries where other people are concerned, other people of the opposite gender. Again, if they're heterosexual, if the other gender is going to be bothering them or making it really hard for them to stay faithful to you, they need some appropriate boundaries. The two of you need to talk about marriage counseling and talk about how to move beyond this. Y'all need to explore, did your spouse not feel comfortable coming to you? Is that why they started leaning on this other person? Did that have anything to do with it? If so, what do you guys need to do to make different choices moving forward? How can you help create a safe space for your spouse moving forward? Do you see? Emotional affairs are hard. Some of you have had both. I had both. Some of you only had the physical aspect. Perhaps your spouse had sex with a sex worker, whatnot. Emotional affairs are real. And it's probably easier than you think to fall into something like that. Again, sometimes it's not intentional. Sometimes people aren't out looking for that, but it happens. Strong boundaries are your absolute best defense against that ever happening. And if it has happened in your relationship, seek some couples counseling. The two of you need to get to the root of this. The two of you need to create a safe space so that does not happen again. And no, you are not making too big of a deal about it, okay? When it comes to my clients, I would say a small percentage of them were emotional only. And believe me, they are suffering and they are hurting just as badly as those who had a physical component to it. So if you're looking for someone to walk that journey with you, please schedule a free consultation with me. You should see it on the screen. Also, grab all the freebies below. I want to make sure you get all the help you can get. And subscribe to the channel if this has been helpful so that you're notified every time I publish another video. Thank you for watching, and I do hope this has helped giving you some clarification when it comes to emotional affairs. So get that help you need.